Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's First Friday Forum. Everyone looks happy. They have their lunches now, so sorry for the slight delay for the folks who are joining us on the live stream today. My name's Diana Martin. I'm the Executive Director here at Hourglass, and we will be talking today about the state of tourism in Lancaster County. Today, we're joined by Ed Harris, the President and CEO of Discover Lancaster. And Ed actually, I believe, joined Discover Lancaster in June of 2020. So he's going to give us a firsthand account of how the pandemic has impacted tourism here locally, but also what the future has in store for this industry that's such a vital part of our local economy. After his talk, we will have some time for questions from the audience. So we have lots of great people in the room, and for all the people who are joining us virtually, today's talk is being recorded. If you have questions, please just drop those in the chat, and I'll be monitoring those. I'd like to thank Ed and the folks from Discover Lancaster for being here today, and I'd also like to thank our First Friday Forum sponsor, Rogers & Associates. They've been really generous to support these events and make them possible. And I'd also like to thank the Ware Center and Millersville University for hosting us today. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Ed, and really excited to learn more about tourism. Thanks.
Thank you, Diana. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, great. So who here has heard of Discover Lancaster? Okay, that's a good thing. Most people here have heard of Discover Lancaster. But just in case, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview to start. Our mission at Discover Lancaster is pretty simple. It's to inspire people to visit and discover Lancaster. And then our vision is Lancaster County is a timeless place for all to gather, explore, and rejuvenate. We also have values that our organization adheres to, things like teamwork, integrity, innovation, excellence, and stewardship. And for those of you who may not be familiar, tourism is a pretty big deal in Lancaster County. We're talking about a $3 billion annual tourism economy here. 9 million people come to Lancaster County annually, and it represents about 25,000 jobs. Our organization at Discover Lancaster works with roughly 500 member partners, and those businesses that we work with cover a wide range of business. It's everything from hotels, bed and breakfasts, attractions, restaurants, shops, and other things too. And so we're fortunate that we've got such a wide range of members and partners that we can talk about when we're promoting our great special area. So I'm going to start out talking a little bit about where we've been. And as you can probably imagine, during COVID and really 2020, we had some dark days from a tourism standpoint. And we were hit pretty hard. You can see there visitation and economic declines of over 36% or more. Lodging decreases 38% or more. Loss of nearly 30% of direct industry jobs. So for being such an important part of the overall economy, tourism was hit very hard. Fortunately, during that period, our county commissioners unanimously approved a CARES Act grant that enabled Discover Lancaster to continue to promote in our key cities. Our feeder markets are places like Long Island, New York, Philly, of course, Baltimore, DC, and that grant money, because we weren't receiving our monthly hotel tax revenue, really helped us to continue to keep Lancaster on the map as an option for people to choose. And during this period, it was really important for us to focus on traveling safely. And so we developed a number of TV commercials that were playing in those feeder markets One of those focused on shopping, another focused on the range of family fun activities, primarily outdoor family activities, which was appealing to people, especially during the height of the pandemic, and outdoor adventure opportunities, whether it's down at the Susquehanna, places like Cherry Crest Farm, etc. And of course, the Amish and the countryside, such an important part of our DNA, but then our small towns in Lancaster City. So we really tried to kind of carve up lots of different segments that would appeal to people during the pandemic and encourage them to still choose Lancaster and visit here. As we moved towards the holiday season, we also had a new commercial highlighting the limited number of things in 2020 that were open. And so that grant that we received went a really long way in just continuing to beat the drum of Lancaster tourism to our audience. And we had a little bit of extra money left over to try some new out-of-the-box things to try to connect with our audience. And one of those things was a partnership with an upstart company called Carvertise. I'm sure some of you have probably seen some of these cars driving around, but it was a way for us to go into some of those key markets and remind people that we're still open for business, but travel to Lancaster in a safe way. And you can see the oversized masks on the front of those cars. And having spent my career in marketing and advertising, I love it when you can come up with a plan with your team that has tactical elements in it that people want to write about in terms of the media. Because there is, believe it or not, a lot of bad marketing out there. But really good marketing can cut through the clutter and really stand out. And I'm fortunate because at Discover Lancaster, we have an all-star marketing team. And so when we can do initiatives that really, like I said, cut through that clutter, it does make an impact. And so I was really happy with that decision. Go ahead, Larry.
And what's bad marketing? What would you call bad?
Oh, geez, I might have to do a separate talk on that. But I guess it's subjective. I mean, to an extent, any marketing is awareness, right? But in a competitive environment, I think when you can do tactics that are very different than anybody else, that's an example of good marketing because you're cutting through that clutter. I guess bad marketing, in my professional opinion, would be something more vanilla, something that everybody's doing anyway, and just very basic tactics. But yeah, I mean, this type of marketing at that time, now this company has really exploded and they're doing car advertising campaigns for a variety of our competition. We were sort of a first mover there, which really helped, I think, move the needle when I start to get into some of the numbers. But if you don't follow us on social media today, I highly recommend you start following us on our Facebook page alone. We have over 150,000 people that follow our multiple posts that we do, if not weekly, daily. There's a lot of special and unique things that we can talk about in Lancaster. We're also on Instagram and all the other usual suspects when it comes to social media. It's not on the screen, but yes, we do have a TikTok channel. If anybody here has one of those, I'm still learning about it myself. But and of course our website, discoverlancaster.com. And during 2020 also, we were very fortunate. The media wanted to talk about things that were open in Lancaster and just the variety of things you can do here, which I think a lot of locals and residents sometimes take for granted. But I'm just amazed at the wide range of things that we can offer across Lancaster County. And so when we look at some basic numbers, as a marketing-focused organization, we care a lot about things like demand. In this case, we're talking about sold hotel rooms, okay? And actually, I should step back a second. this also includes bed and breakfast as well. But you can see there in 2020, in the first 2 quarters of the year, things were pretty bleak. But as we got towards the end of the year, we really started to close that gap from 2019, which obviously was pre-pandemic. We also look at web traffic, okay, and that kind of follows the same pattern in 2020. Tough start to the year. First 6 months, really tough. But as we got towards Q3 and Q4, our website traffic started to increase. And then in terms of the overall revenue across our hotels, you can see there, Q2, we were crushed, right? Down 79%. But as we, again, went on through the rest of the calendar year, we started to close that gap from 2019. And so we moved into 2021, and fortunately, we received another grant. This time, thanks to our 2 state senators, Senator Martin and Senator Aument, who were able to give us a grant through the Department of Community and Economic Development. And so these grants for a nonprofit go a long way for us to stay competitive in the most expensive advertising markets in the world. When we're talking about places like New York, DC, for example. And we took that grant money, we started making more videos that we could put on TV, social media, etc. We started out in January trying to encourage people to come to our hotels, especially those who have indoor pools. And this was a very popular campaign for us. We were blogging about it on our website, along with other things to do in the winter period here in Lancaster. We also partnered with an awesome new company in Lancaster. I know the founding partners are here in the room today, but Lancaster Local Provisions, they curate these amazing Lancaster-centric boxes that go out, and you can send them to anybody. And we sent these boxes to the tour operators at the motor coach companies. And we did this because we knew that motor coach business is very important to Lancaster County. We're talking about places like Shady Maple, Sight and Sound Theater, the outlets. They all benefit from the motor coach business, and we wanted to get back on their radar as soon as possible by sending them a really cool gift box that had Lancaster items in that box with a nice letter from our organization saying, hey, don't forget about us. We want your buses coming back ASAP. And then as we got into the summertime in 2021, luckily things were opening up a lot more. We did a partnership with the Barnstormers here in the city. Over in Lidditz, we were sponsoring their 4th of July festivities. Indie Retail Week right here in the city, we were a big partner. And there was even a state baseball tournament that came to town over in Ephrata that we promoted and we sponsored. And as we got into the fall of 2021, it was a breath of fresh air because many of our festivals were back. They were happening again. Our marketing team had a lot to talk about, whether it was our website, our advertising, social media, etc. And during that period, our team rolled out our first Lancaster County, county-wide restaurant week in partnership with the Lancaster Farmland Trust. And the idea behind this restaurant week was customers who went to these participating restaurants could give a portion of their bill to the trust. So the idea was, why not give back to the farms that provide for our restaurants? And there's a ton of restaurant weeks out there. I think because of this sort of meaning behind this one, we did garner quite a bit of media attention, locally, especially on the local TV networks. We got some really nice write-ups about Restaurant Week, and we did this for the first time this past October. We are going to bring it back this year. We were a little late in the game to sign up restaurants. We had about 30 restaurants participate, raised about $10,000 that week for the trust. But we have big expectations that that's only going to get bigger in the years to come. And it was a variety of restaurants. It was restaurants from right here in the city to restaurants scattered across our countryside. And once again, last fall, a good amount of media coverage, a little bit more than 2020. And writers want to write about interesting, unique things to experience. And Lancaster County has plenty of that. And so these are just a few snapshots. There was a lot more than this. I do want to recognize Joel Cliff. He's in the room. He's our head of communications and advocacy who spearheads all of our PR efforts. But throughout the pandemic, he was really busy answering calls from reporters and keeping Lancaster County on the map. Then we segued into holiday of 2021, and in working with a lot of our theater partners to see how enthusiastic and excited they were to have shows again and be open was awesome. So again, like the fall, we had a lot to talk about with everything opening back up, and they had a really strong season across our theater community. During that time, we also had a new TV campaign that was playing out of market, encouraging people to visit here for the holiday season. And so as we wrapped up 2021, we also placed a few more ads that we hadn't done during the pandemic in magazines around things like weddings, which are also still happening and doing well here. They're bringing in groups of people to help benefit our economy. We're starting to reach out to corporate groups and try to encourage them to plan their next meeting here in Lancaster. We also implemented a marketing project with the Independence Visitor Center, which is in Center City, Philadelphia. It's the place you have to go into to buy tickets to see the Liberty Bell across the street. And we have a large presence in that visitor center, encouraging people to make the trip out to Lancaster. We rotate our creative quarterly. This is a little bit dated because it's, I think, last summer's creative, but we're currently working on a new round of creative to upload there soon. And so to have our brand on display in a high traffic area is really important to us. Another unique thing we did in 2021 was a marketing partnership with the Baltimore Ravens, so that in addition to having a presence in Philadelphia that was ongoing month after month, in this situation, we were partnering with the Ravens on their homepage. So if you were following the Ravens and you were a fan in that Baltimore, Virginia area, you would have seen advertising from Discover Lancaster encouraging people to make the trip up here on the Ravens website. In addition to the website advertising, they gave us other activation opportunities like this one, which is Purple Evening. And full disclosure, I'm not a Ravens fan. I didn't know anything about this before we started working with them, but it's a night where they get a couple thousand women only, to attend their Purple Night and learn about different partners, meet some of the players, et cetera. And we were able to hand out our visitor's guide, offer different promotions from our partners, and connect with women through a pro football team. Who would have thought of that? But the research that we look at does show that women typically make the travel decisions in households. And I can admit my wife does make a lot of our travel decisions. And so that was an interesting new project. If you're familiar with Spooky Nook Sports, another venue that has a lot of traffic coming in. Many people from out of state are playing in tournaments at Spooky Nook. This is a new installation. If you were to go there today, you would see some of our presence at the front desk. We have a big graphic by one of their courts encouraging people to think about going beyond Spooky Nook Sports and doing other things here in Lancaster. We don't have any visuals of sports in our creative here, and that's intentional. We want all those people coming in from out of town to think about coming back and doing something beyond participating in a sporting event. We're also in the hotel elevator that's attached to Spooky Nook with a QR code to go to our website to find out about things to do. And so, in summary, for 2021, you can see sort of the comeback happening here when you look at the orange bar chart. We started with what happened in 2020, and similar to 2020, it's that back half of the year where things really start to take off. We saw that with 30 to 35% gains in website traffic, which tells us people are interested in things to do in Lancaster County. And so the back half of the year, things really started to take off. And it's remarkable that these numbers were higher than they were before the pandemic even showed up. And so it showed in the revenue at our hotels. In the third quarter, almost $70 million is a new record. Q4 was strong as well for our hotel community, and that was 2021. So here we are in 2022, and once again, our elected officials have really stepped up and shown their support for tourism. We received an American Rescue Plan Act in January, and as you can imagine, we are starting to spend that. If you've been around town, maybe you've seen some of our billboards in the first quarter. We're encouraging people to take a staycation. We're doing that in the first quarter because traditionally, visitation to a place like Lancaster in the first quarter is the softest quarter of the year. You can imagine a place like the Poconos where you can ski that has a really strong first quarter. But for us, first quarter is usually a little light, so we wanted to do something new and different. And so our hotel partners who are participating in the spirit of 2022 are offering 22% off your stay through April 30th. Another interesting partnership that our team put together for the first quarter, was with Southern Airways. Has anyone here flown Southern Airways? I'm just curious. Okay. So Southern Airways flies out of Lancaster Airport. They fly direct every day to Dulles in D.C., as well as Pittsburgh. And then they fly every Saturday to Nantucket. And their CEO contacted our organization and said, is there anything Discover Lancaster could do to get more locals aware that we have this service? And by the way, they just announced a new initiative where if you do travel to DC from Lancaster, you don't have to recheck your bags. They'll check your bags through to over 500 destinations, which is a new development for the airline. And in brainstorming with them, we actually came upon this concept of offering free flights. If there's one big hole we're trying to fill at the moment and work with the hotels on, it's filling that weekday business. You've probably noticed that the weekends around here have been really busy. A lot of out-of-state license plates, but during the week it's still a little quiet. And so we're trying to do what we can to get those bigger meetings to book at our hotels and convention center here in Lancaster. And so in talking with Southern Airways, they said, well, how about we offer free flights to those meeting planners who are in Washington, D.C., and Pittsburgh, where we fly to. And in return, if you could include us in your marketing, we're good to go. And so we started this last month. We're getting a ton of hits on our webpage about this. Haven't had someone take us up on the offer yet, but the overall idea of offering someone a free flight to visit here to plan their next big meeting has been appealing to a lot of people. And going back to what I said a little bit earlier when I was talking about our restaurant week and even the Carvertise marketing plan, this one has garnered some good media attention. So when you can have a marketing campaign that can go above and beyond just the regular marketing and have it written about, then that's a home run. And so the Philadelphia Business Journal covered this. Meetings Today magazine, which is a national magazine for people that plan meetings, did a story on this. We also had, oops, I don't know why it's not clicking through. Oh, there it goes. Locally, LNP, of course, did a story on this one. The Travel Vertical, which is a national weekly travel blog, picked this up and ran this story. Central Penn Business Journal did a story on this marketing promotion. And so it's just great to see that added layer of awareness out there about something that our team put together. And so in addition to some of those marketing programs, there's a lot of exciting things right now to talk about. How many people here have been to the new Southern Market? It is awesome. If you haven't been there yet, I know Chris is here, and his team have done an amazing job in launching that new business. Amish mud sales have returned. I went to my first Amish mud sale, I think it was back in March. These are photos from Strasburg. And so this is another unique thing that our team is talking about on social media, on our website, et cetera. Lidditz Fire and Ice had one of their biggest years on record this year. David is the new show over at Sight and Sound Theaters. I highly recommend that show. The whole story of David versus Goliath couldn't have come at a better time, coming out of the pandemic. It's inspiring, it's uplifting. I won't tell you what happens. I'll let you go see the show, but it's very entertaining. And this is one of those things that really helps the motor coach community. And the motor coaches can't wait to come and see David. They're booking trips as we speak. Thomas, the train is back this year at Strasburg Railroad. There are new exhibits over at the Lancaster Science Factory that the team has been talking about. The Burden Hand scooters and the Strasburg scooters, they have new routes that they're doing this year. This is an interesting one happening over at the Susquehanna. You can take this historic Chief Uncas boat out this summer. They're targeting a 4th of July launch. It's a historical boat built in 1912, originally built for, is it Adolf Busch of the Busch family? And anyone can sign up, buy tickets for this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that's all about this summer. And then, of course, in addition to attractions, there's lots of events on the horizon, which is refreshing to be able to stand up here and mention. And so where are we today? Yesterday was officially the end of the first quarter. And although we don't have all of the data in yet, we have through March 26th. So we're still waiting for the last week, so to speak, for the data to come in to finish off the month. But as you can see here, for 2022, for January, February, March, out ahead of where we were, again, before the pandemic. Now remember that 2020 number there, when you're thinking about the first quarter of the year, the pandemic hit around mid-March. So 2020, from a lot of business leaders who have educated me on this, was going to be a record year until the pandemic hit. So to see how 2021 rebounded and where we're at right now in 2022 is very encouraging. And you can see, again, to be up 21% over where we were before this pandemic came along is great. And it's the same story as we look at website traffic. 70% gains compared to prior to the pandemic. And then on the revenue side, the hotels are very pleased with the growth they're seeing in terms of revenue. And so where are we going? I'm going to backtrack for a second. All the stuff I just shared is very happy news. We're fully aware that there are some headwinds and things that we need to keep our eyes on. And one of those things, obviously, is navigating change. Who would have thought that QR codes that were really kind of going away for a while all of a sudden emerged in restaurants and hotels as a real thing again? And some of just the cleaning systems that are in place now and other technological advances are evolving as we go. But we also are aware that staffing is a major challenge for a lot of the businesses that we work with. Conventions and events. I'm happy to say that just this weekend, the ZenkaCon, did I say that right, Kevin? The ZenkaCon conference was here, and it brought 15,000 people in. So the economic impact of bringing those large events into this area is huge, but we're going to need a lot more of them. Midweek business. I don't know if you've noticed this if you happen to work in the city. Many of our restaurants have adjusted hours, or some of them are even closed midweek. And that has a lot to do with corporations not necessarily being back in person yet, but we're trying to solve ways to bring more business back during the week. I'm sure everybody here is familiar with some of the inflation concerns that are out there. Could that impact our business? Potentially. We're not sure how yet. Some people think it could hurt us. Others think it'll help us if more people are doing road trips versus getting on planes. That remains to be seen. And then I'm going to close with just a few highlights from our 3-year strategic plan, which kicked off this past January. It starts with making sure that we maintain the strong level of leisure travel that has really helped us out during the pandemic. The group business, as I've been harping on, is something that we're talking about every day. How soon will that come back? How can we help bring that back faster? And when we talk about group business, it's not just the corporate meetings. We need to make sure the sports groups are continuing to choose Lancaster County. It's the motor coach groups. We want them to keep coming back. To keep our foot on the gas pedal when it comes to the media and the public relations, and really start to evolve into a 12-month tourism destination. In many ways, we are there now, but there's definitely room for opportunity, especially during the first quarter. Making sure we're thinking about research and data, new products, new ideas, new things to introduce are important in our 3-year strategic plan. Helping to steward our county's natural resources, right? That's what makes Lancaster County special for a lot of visitors. And making sure the whole industry across Lancaster County is aligned with priorities. We also have a visitor center. If for some reason you haven't been into our visitor center yet, we're looking at ways that how can we make the guest experience in our visitor center better over the next 3 years. Okay. And then making sure we're getting out into the community, making sure people are aware of the work that the organization is doing. And last but not least, making sure that we continue to be meeting with our elected officials and leaders within the media relations community, I should say. And last but not least, I'm going to close on this quote, which I think is appropriate. People still hunger for the experiences that you can only get away from home. And so as a tourism organization, I do feel really optimistic about the trajectory of our organization and tourism continuing to rebound. So thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Sure.
We'll pass the mic around. If you don't mind just saying your name, and even though everyone can probably hear you, the microphone just helps the people on the live stream hear the questions. Appreciate that.
Hi, my name is Espen Shade. I just wanted to commend you on your reach to Philadelphia, Baltimore, and the large cities. In my business, my team deals with a lot of people moving to the area, and the draw for here is our close proximity to those cities. So, I mean, just your reach to those, I think, is a big help for people to see us from those big areas. But I commend you. And not to mention Lancaster's cool, so that's why people like to come here.
Thank you.
While it's here, I'll take it. Larry Cohen. Yeah, the partnership outreach is phenomenal. I was just wondering, closer to home, what opportunities or comparisons or partnerships are available with like Hershey?
Yeah, that's a really good point. In fact, there's a lot of people who stay at our hotels and our B&Bs and then go over to Hershey. I know in past chapters of the organization, I think there were some promotions that we did with Hershey Park. I've had some recent meetings with Mary Smith, their president CEO of the Harrisburg Hershey Tourism Organization, and we're starting to collaborate already. We don't have any details or ideas I can talk about yet today, but yes, I mean, we really would love to become sort of that hub of the wheel in central Pennsylvania where people are starting here or spending the night here, and they're going out to Hershey or they're going out to Gettysburg or down to Longwood Gardens, but be that hub of the wheel, I think is a good long-term goal for us. Sure.
As a resident, I see these after the fact of these parades and conferences of people like the KengaCon. And I would love to go see them, but I never know about it in advance, and it's not on your website. I've looked.
Okay, you couldn't find it on our calendar of events.
No. No, when I have looked, and I can't say that I've looked all the time, but I work with a photo group at Willow Valley, and we're always looking for things to take photographs of, and I think that would be really nifty. And
Yeah, I mean, I guess to
and
answer
maybe
that,
other people would like to see them too.
sure. Yeah,
And
I think
it would be part of the staycation thing.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think, an opportunity for our organization going forward. This idea that although, we're a nonprofit and the expectation is to spend the majority of our funds bringing outsiders in, we could improve in terms of just making more locals aware of the work we're doing. And I think it has improved. I think more and more locals are following us on all those social media channels I was mentioning earlier. During the pandemic, we went from, I think we were around 15 staff down to, when I joined, it was myself and 4 people. And we gradually built back the organization. I think one of the biggest challenges during that time period, because of the sheer size of our membership and our partnership, was reflecting all the updated hours, when businesses were open, when they were closed for up to 500 businesses. And we had one person trying to take all these emails and type it into the website. And so I'm not trying to make an excuse, but maybe if it was during that period, maybe everything wasn't completely up to date on all of our pages. I think we're much, much better today. We're up to 12 employees, so we're not completely built all the way back, but that's really good feedback for me to take back to the team.
Hi.
Sure.
So, hi Ed, I'm Kathy Bonser from SCORE. And I wanted to sort of build on that. Is Discover Lancaster encompassing of everything that goes on in Lancaster, or is it member-driven? How should I think of Discover Lancaster as representative of all of the things going on in Lancaster County?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we are specifically geared towards the tourism in the area. And so, our mission is to inspire people to visit. So really, we're trying to get people to come and bring dollars into the Lancaster County economy. So that's pretty broad, right? But all of our efforts, for the most part, locals can see if they're following us on social media. But the big TV campaigns, the big investment, people are seeing that in places like Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C., New York, Long Island. Do you currently follow us on any of the social media channels?
Mostly online with the website, but my question is different. Is everything that goes on in Lancaster available for people outside of the area to be aware of, or is it mostly driven by your members being able to post on the site?
So partner versus non-partner.
Okay, yeah, so we do highlight things to do beyond our partnership, if that's what you're asking me, so that we can tell a true picture of what's happening here. And it's all very specific to tourism. So obviously we're not sharing information about current news and things like that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just
Okay.
wanted to know if everything was, like she mentioned, the festival that just happened. And so I didn't know if there's things that don't get reported because they may not be members, or you may not be aware.
Got it.
How do people know to get everything on there so the wholeness of the story is there?
Yeah, I mean,
Got
I
it.
just had the one thing to add in
Yep.
terms of the events calendar is open to any events, tourism activity related on there. And then there are in certain segments with regard to attractions, dining, what have you, there are certain listings that are not as fully developed as our partners would be in terms of that's the benefit of partnership, but they actually are line listings on the website. So it is, as full a truer picture of the entire tourism community as possible, not just limited to partners. It just has different levels of promotion.
Jump on this. Sure. So ZenkaCon is a great event for us to all see these wonderful costumes walking in our community. But that's a membership organization. They're looking for people who are paying to go. You're looking to take pictures. So they're not advertising to folks to come in the building. And as I get that. I get that. But if you look at their advertising, they're not looking to get out to that element. So they do a lot on social media for people belong to that. And we have some events at the convention center, frankly, they don't advertise in our community. We let the business community know so they can be ready for lunch, dinner, or whatever, or people walking down the street, but not necessarily for attendance. So I have to be somewhat careful that not every event are they wanting to push out for residents to attend and the like, so they keep in the scope of their customers. If they close a street for a parade, I would assume everyone in town would want to go to that. Right on. I just didn't want to put Ed on the spot where the customer may not have wanted to be out there. Okay.
And Kevin, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm Kevin Malloy with the Lancaster County Convention Center Authority. We work with Ed and Joel and the whole team on marketing Lancaster as a whole, the county, Lancaster City, as well as our venue to try to highlight and get people to attend events, but also return because they had a good experience. Thank you.
Quick question. I'm Steve Sunderland with Vital Theater Company. We're new to the city. We do family theater. We're producing a show at Mickey's Black Box, if anybody wants to come in May. 1 hour Wizard of Oz for kids. Adult professional actors performing for children and their families. So 2 things. I just wanted to follow up on what you were saying. Being new to the area, I've been trying to really experience everything, and I have noticed that it's hard to keep track of, like I'm missing things. I hear about things after the fact, so I wonder where that nexus is for all of the things going on in Lancaster County. Maybe that's an opportunity there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just wanted to say, great presentation. You're doing a great job with Lancaster, Discover Lancaster. And the other question I had is, what was the number of visitors you said at the beginning? I missed that. You said
9 million annually
9
in a
million.
normal
Wow,
year,
that's
yes.
fantastic.
That's
Great.
right.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Hey guys, Matthew Toth with Willow Valley's Hampton Inns. Good job, Ed.
Thank you.
I just wanted to just say, I think it was the first or second week of March, the month that the pandemic came out. I was at Gillette Stadium doing a show. This is before you were with Discover Lancaster, Ed. We were doing a convention with one of the motor coach companies, and that was when they started to, half people were wearing masks, half people were not. And I remember we were promoting Discover Lancaster at that time, and I was like, with the gal I was with, I'm like, can you believe this? All these people wearing masks. This is crazy. Like, this can't be real. And the momentum that the industry had at that time was incredible. And then it was wiped out. So, like, I am seeing living proof, like, of the work that you're doing with the tourism industry, because I'm, like, at the hotel. So thank you for that. And the momentum is back with a vengeance right now, so we appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Tim Lapp with the Hourglass. Just a quick question regarding the entertainment industry here in Lancaster. Good friend of mine, Derek Diener, has Make Films, and they just did Brave the Dark. They're filming it here, as well as the Red Rose Film Festival. I mean, it's really starting to grow. I think it's in the third year with Ryan Shank has started that. Where are you guys at with promoting the theater and entertainment industry coming into the area?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. We do obviously promote all the existing brick and mortar theaters that are here. And I'll say to Stephen right now, we're really excited that he's chosen to move his theater from New York to Lancaster, which I think is just incredible. On the movie front, you know, there are people that want to film here more and more and actually make films right here in the city. Just finished filming for us. They're working on a project for us at Discover Lancaster. Today, there is not a film commission in Lancaster like we have in places like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. There have been conversations about that I've been brought into, it was early last year, but I do think there's opportunity for that as well, because when we show up on the big screen around the world, that can't hurt tourism, right? So I know I'm not really answering your question. I don't know, Joel, if you have any background on just the history of our involvement with movies or promoting them here.
Yeah, you're talking about the movie making, the making thereof. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously we've worked with the state film commission from time to time in terms of folks looking for shooting locations and the economic impact that can have. Obviously, crews and what have you vary in size and how long they are and hotel lodging and dining and all that. But there used to be a local film commission way back in the day from the early 2000s till maybe 2010, 2012. But it, you know, staffed by volunteers for the most part. It's challenging in terms of finding the bandwidth with regard to that. So we help as we can, but there's not an organizing, you know, nucleus around that. So some of our individual conversations with film crews, particularly local ones, you know, we assist as we can and do what we can. I
wasn't aware that there was actually a film commission that you had to have.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that you need to, but it's nice to have an organizing principle around those questions and a place to be able to direct them as opposed to a little bit more ad hoc. And it is more typical in a larger location like Philly, Pittsburgh, DC, New York.
I'm pretty sure that, just to piggyback on what Joel said, you know, with the film offices that exist, a lot of it has to do with, you know, collaborating to get tax breaks. And that plays into a lot of it in terms of places that get more filming than others. And I think Pennsylvania as a state could be a little bit more competitive when it comes to those types of tax breaks. But at the moment, you know, Philadelphia and places like Pittsburgh seem to get the brunt of the big projects. Go ahead, Steve.
But that's because they're giving tax breaks to all the people coming. So
okay.
they're competing with Vancouver, Los Angeles.
Yeah, and what you're talking about, though, fits in bigger picture to the shift that's happening in our industry. Most people refer to us as a DMO, meaning a destination marketing organization. There's been a shift in the letter M to a destination management organization, and that's where I think you're going to see organizations like us evolve into in the future, where we're not just laser focused on what do our advertising messages look like in New York City next month, where we're at the table on bigger issues beyond just the marketing, and we can influence movies coming here, you know, other development projects, and we're already starting to get invited to a lot more of those types of important meetings beyond just the marketing, which is what our history has been solely focused on.
When you said appearing on the big screen, I don't know if anybody remembers the movie Witness, which drove huge interest in Amish culture. I don't know what's specific to this. And also, does anyone know about the 1955 Broadway play Plain and Fancy, which was evidently what drew the beginning of interest in tourism to Lancaster County? So.
Actually, the beginnings of it was either 1927 or 1930, somewhere around there, big, huge National Geographic
On Lancaster? Oh, wow. 1937. Okay, I'm curious to know, where's that next, okay, okay. I've never seen it, but I heard it's a terrible play.
Ed, sorry, I have another question.
Sure, go ahead.
And I love the way you did the presentation to kind of say where we were, what happened, and how well the community has rebounded. I might have missed something. How big is tourism as an industry within Lancaster County? And when you think of that and the rebound, are there specific aspects of tourism that have not quite yet rebounded, and is the outlook for them good as well?
Great question. So we are back and forth between third or fourth largest economic driver in the county behind agriculture, manufacturing, and healthcare. In terms of your second question, there's a lot of challenge. I touched on challenges. I touched on staffing briefly, but one of the innovative things we're seeing down at Kitchen Kettle Village is they're running a shuttle bus to Pequay Valley High School so that they can get more employees. There's concern that many people who are in the hospitality community, whether they're housekeepers, front desk people, line cooks, that during the pandemic they exited our industry for better wages at places like Costco, Target, Amazon, name your other big giant warehouse, and we hope that they return because the labor pool to begin with, outside of just looking at the hospitality jobs, is limited. And so it's a huge economic driver when we're talking about tourism, but we really need to get creative with making sure people realize there are great careers and opportunities in hospitality again, because there is a major shortage out there. There are incentives being given over $1,000 for housekeeping jobs, and it's tough. As great as the numbers are that I shared, most of that business is happening on the weekends, and I anticipate that to continue through the summer. Hopefully when families can take vacations in the summertime, they'll come during the week. But when you're so balanced or unbalanced towards the weekend, it makes it harder for our restaurants to hire people who come in and say, I don't want to just work weekends. Well, that's when the customers are coming right now. So it's a really interesting time right now. We're trying to do what we can about supporting job fairs and things like that. But at the end of the day, we're hoping that there's a surge or a return at least to those lost hospitality jobs, and people come back to our industry because all this demand is there. People from all these neighboring cities want to visit here and spend time here, but what's that customer service experience going to be like? If they're disappointed, will they return? So that's a bigger, issue. But I don't even know if I'm answering your question, but.
You actually are, and I actually talked to our client this morning about the transportation factor that you just talked about, and it could be another way to be creative in the county to solve that, so we can get people to the areas, because buses don't necessarily run to the area.
Right.
I'm going to ask one final question because I have the mic. I'm curious about what do the demographics look like of the tourists that come to Lancaster? Are they retirees or families? And just curious if there's been any shift in the demographics of the people coming here, and maybe even what they're looking for. If people have historically come for the Amish experience, if they're more interested in now coming downtown, just any trends you've seen there.
Sure, yeah. We're actually trending younger. When we look at our website traffic, especially for the first quarter, we've had our highest increases in age 18 to 35 than we have in a very long time. Now, I'm not sure if that's because one of our youngest employees handles our social media, and it's her voice and it's connecting, or what. But we are also seeing among our bed and breakfast community this trend of workcation, where with the added flexibility that corporations are offering today in big cities, there's quite a few people who've made the decision to set up their laptop at a bed and breakfast on a Tuesday and have a totally different view while they're doing work all day. And so some of that is trending younger as well. More millennials are discovering Lancaster through that. But on the flip side, I'm sure everyone here is aware of the big project that's going to happen here from Willow Valley Communities, I believe, is the big high-rise for the over 55 population. I'm sorry? Mosaic. There you go. This is a very, very popular retirement destination, and I think that's continuing to grow. During the pandemic, many people opted for early retirement and chose Lancaster. So on one hand, we're seeing that 18 to 35 crowd show up a little bit more and take interest in things to do here, at least based on our website data. But then on the flip side, it seems like these retirement communities just continue to grow. And I will say this, in our visitor center, during the pandemic, the people who have been signing our guest book have been coming from further points away than ever before in terms of visiting the area. And they're asking our travel consultants questions like, what's it like to live here? And so it's going to be interesting to see how our county evolves over the next decade, just getting a peek into some of that data.
Let's give Ed a
Thank you.
round of applause for his time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ed, for all that information and not providing the spoiler on David and Goliath. You'll have to hold out in suspense for how that ended. A video recording of today's talk will be available on the Hourglass website and YouTube channel next week, so you're welcome to share that with people in the community that would benefit from this information. Our next First Friday Forum will be right back here on May 6th. That will be with EDC Lancaster. They will be presenting their new broadband study and strategy for Lancaster County. Broadband is another issue we're just hearing more and more about as people need to be more connected in their personal lives through their business. So really looking forward to that. And to receive invitations to all of our monthly First Friday forums, you can become an Hourglass member. You can do that on our website at hourglasslancaster.org. And I also just wanted to mention one other, we lost the slide, I think, for it. Oh, here it is. It was one other exciting event that we have coming up at Hourglass. We have a community forum that will be happening here at the Ware Center on April 27th, so down in the Steinmetz Hall. And that event is called Food for Thought. It will be a TED-style event where we'll have a number of speakers giving talks on food and agriculture, everything from vertical farming to clean water to hunger and food insecurity. Actually, Chris Ballantyne, who's here, is going to be one of our speakers at that event. And we have a really great keynote speaker for that. His name's George Steinmetz. He's a National Geographic explorer and photographer. He's been traveling all over the world documenting what it takes to feed almost 9 billion people. His project is called Feed the Planet, so he's going to be another person coming into town and getting to see Lancaster and sharing his work with us. He's actually done, some of his photography has been here on farms in Lancaster County. So if you're interested in coming to that, there will be a wine and food reception before the program, and you can buy tickets for that on our website at hourglasslancaster.org/foodforthought, and would love to see you at one of those upcoming events. And until then, I hope you all have a great weekend. Thank you.